Welcome to the MackZaddy podcast, Zaddy edition. We are privileged to have Miss Tara Trafzer with us today.
Hey guys, excited to be here.
Yeah.
First time.
First time,
I've never done this before.
It's not a second round at all.
No, our first rodeo, I would say.
Yeah. We're currently at Tap, actually, the after party. So we just had the open. Oh yes, there you go, the Tap after party. So Tara, tell us a little bit about yourself, because some of these guys won't know you if they haven't made all the way over here, or if they haven't been to Shakedown in New Zealand yet, which is another event you do.
Actually, I want to give you a story about how I know Tara first.
Oh no, we did not rehearse it.
No.
Let's see.
We met 2013. No, I said 2012, practicing for 2013 in the Benji studio, the Schwimmer studio. And you were training with Brett?
Yes, yeah, for Showcase.
For Showcase.
Yeah.
And I was training with one of the twins,
Hannah.
I definitely know it's Hannah. Yeah, Hannah Klodge. And I got to spend some time with you guys and do like embarrassing jumps across the rooms.
True, you did the jazz classes with us.
Yeah.
That's a requirement when you come and train with us. How did jazz?
How is there side slits?
We got to work on it.
Sorry.
There's still hope. There's still time. But for the low price, I will get you there into your splits. Yeah.
Yay.
It's not that low. It's pretty high, but I'll get you there.
She's been an amazing dancer since like before then. But I got to watch and I was like, oh my goodness, look at all this crazy stuff that they're doing. This is wild. But yeah, that was my first memory of Tara.
So you started out solo dancing at the
did.
Schwimmer studio?
I did. Yeah, before that, actually. So I started a different studio. I was 2 years old. I did mommy and me classes, jazz, tap, and ballet. So my mom holding my hands and then I'd pretend all stuff. It was very adorable. Please don't go back and watch. But I did that for until I was about 10. And for a long time, I didn't love the environment we were in. I didn't really love dancing. Did the same routines every year, the same nutcracker, same this, same that. And it just got really repetitive, really boring. I wasn't really a fan. We went to this jazz, convention out in Palm Springs and took all these different classes, contemporary and acrobatics and this and that. We did a lifts and drops class and Buddy and Lori were teaching it. Benji and Heidi were there. Lacey was there with her partner at the time. They were showing these just crazy, incredible lifts and then giving us like, here's a dip, and here's like this little press that you can do. And I was so interested and intrigued. I was like, wow, I had no idea, be like this. I love this idea of partner dancing. And then at the end, they gave a little spiel and they were like, look, we do partner dancing. We're known for West Coast swing and we teach it at our studio. It's in Redlands. I was like, well, crap, that's right next door. And so I told my parents, I was like, I want to figure this out. I want to go and try it. And so I went there and took my first ever West Coast swing class when I was 10 from Benji. Yep. And Lori was there and she was like, we have a jazz team. You guys could start doing jazz classes and all this. And kind of slowly but surely we moved from that current studio we were at into this studio in a very competitive environment. I was terrified of competition, terrified. Lori really was like, no, it's okay. And I was like, no. Terrified? I was absolutely terrified. I was like, I don't want to let anyone down. I don't know, dance moms get slapped. I don't know. I don't want to do this. But they needed a couple on, so I got put on their jazz team. I was scared of that. And then they needed a couple to fill in for the US Open on their formation team. A couple had dropped out. They ended their partnership and they were like, we want you to dance with Lacey. And so Lacey was my first partner and we danced on the formation team. I think we had 2 months to learn it. And I was kind of hooked from there on. So then they found me a dance partner. Started competing in young adults and juniors at the time. And then we had our formation team, the jazz team. We started training there every day, about 5-6 hours a day at the school.
Nice.
And then on weekends, we would train for the Open, especially as it got closer, doing about 6-7 hours a day of just the two teams. And then we had our private partnerships as well. So
Cool.
It's amazing.
Went from like nothing to everything real big in
Yeah.
terms of the competition realm. But, it helps when you have, people pumping you up and inspiring you and getting you involved. And West Coast Swing really got me hooked. So I continued doing all the solo styles, contemporary and jazz, ballet, tap, all those. I'm really bad at hip hop, but I still did it. Go to Victoria or Chris if you need good hip hop. That's not a me thing at all. But yeah, I kept doing that and then continued West Coast Swing. And around 16, 17, I started competing in champions and really wanted to do this full time. So
16 or 17?
yeah, can't remember exactly which one, but
Like your age?
yes, yeah.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
The the one of the questions everyone asks is like, who did you look up to like at that point in time? Like, I guess these were your coaches and stuff, but like also your coaches would have looked up to people at that time and all that sort of thing. Is there anyone or a few people that stick out? I know you probably can't mention everyone and they changed along the way, but is there a few people that weren't necessarily your coaches at your home studio that you really looked up to or were watching on YouTube or something like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, I'm going to sound really old right now, but YouTube didn't exist at the period that we're talking about, right? So the way you saw routines was going to events.
Yeah.
And so the first ever routine that I saw was Benji and Heidi.
Yeah.
And we were doing our Christmas show, and they came out and performed it. And I went, oh my God.
Wow.
And this was the first year I had just started the classes. I didn't know much about it. And I see this showcase routine, and I was just in awe of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do that. This is what I want to do. This is incredible. Yeah. So they were my first inspiration because this is what I saw.
Right. That's awesome.
Without having YouTube, right? Like now we have the luxury of YouTube. You can go back and watch all
Was it on DVD?
It's on VHS.
Oh.
I'm dating myself so much right now.
Right.
But like, yeah, it was on VHS. And then my sister, my oldest sister, was on a jazz team they had, went to the Open. So our teams are going to the Open. And then that's when I first saw everyone.
Right.
And I remember watching these routines and just being in awe of everything they were doing. And I got to meet some of the pros who would come to the studio and use the floor, train with Benji, Heidi, those guys. And then we'd get coaching from them. And one of them was Parker at Jessica. So I remember watching them, seeing them dancing and what they were creating. And Jessica in particular, who was coaching us at the time, was helping out with us at the studio.
This was
huge
Jessica
Cox, and now McCurdy.
Yeah. Got you.
But huge influence on my life. But watching all of these pros dance and do their thing was just absolutely incredible. You know, Jordan and Todd, Kyle and Sarah. And it was one of those where you're kind of in awe and you don't want to talk to them because like, you know,
they're like dance gods.
Yeah, right? And you watch them and you're just like, oh my God. And you've seen them. And like at that time, you know, I didn't really know anyone's name. Like it was only later that I kind of put two and two together. And we had so many routines that we were doing at the Open. Like I couldn't go up and be like, oh, I need to know your name. What is that? I also felt like that would be kind of rude. But, you know, watching, you know, Ronnie and Brandy, Kyle and Sarah, Jordan Todd, these couples dance was just incredible. And like later, one of the things that I realized looking back was one of the routines that I really loved was Jason and Katie. I just, you know, not knowing names to who they were, but seeing it later on and being like, oh my God, I remember this. I remember watching this at the Open and other conventions we would go to. It was just absolutely incredible. So there's plenty of those people. But like direct, you know, people that really influenced, I would say, Benji, Heidi, Jessica were kind of the main ones that I really interacted with as a kid at the studio. Yeah. And then getting more into it, then you started meeting other people, taking workshops from them, getting private lessons. You know, you started interacting more with them. And so you kind of start putting more names to faces and how they've influenced. With so many of those, you know, champions that we know and those famous routines that we know have influenced, you know, me and my dancing, my coaching. And there's been so much love and help from them along the way, which was really cool to see. And I, you know, love seeing them. Yeah, feeling that.
We just had the Open. Yes. Just speaking of the Open and routines, how many classic routines have you done at the Open?
My first one, again, we're going to age me here, but my first classic routine was in 2015, and that was Two Heads with Chris.
Yep.
I danced in Showcase years, you know, before that. I think about 4 or 5 times, I want to say, before that. From 18 on, and then Chris and I debuted Two Heads in 2015.
Yeah.
So we did 3 routines, and then I did one with Steven and then one with Ryan. So about 5 or 6, I would say.
Yeah.
US Opens, if I'm counting correctly. But yeah.
The cuts pretty
your favorite.
Yeah. Favorite?
What's your
favorite routine? I guess. What's your favorite routine?
I would say my favorite routine would be Two Heads, and I think because of the magic of how everything came together. Chris and I did it in 3 weeks.
Damn.
Wow.
We decided to do the Open. We had talked to Benji about it. Benji postponed a knee surgery for us and helped us in the creation of it. It took 40 hours to cut the music. And we were just in his room, just cutting it, you know, counting days doing it, mixing and remixing, and we should move this here and we should put this here and do this and do that. We got the choreo, and then we had 3 weeks, and it just felt like, you know, we're going to wing it. We're going to go for it. And it just really came together in this unique way. And then the response from people was just really unique and magical. Like, you know, being on that open floor and getting that kind of crowd response and hearing from people how much they loved what you do and how unique it was and different, it just changes things in a different way. And so I think that routine really holds a special place in my heart for a lot of different reasons. It's my first time in classic. I felt like it was such a good routine. It was really different.
Badass.
Thank
Very
you.
cool.
Yeah. I thought the mixing of the music, it took forever, but it was worth it. Rise also took 40 hours to cut the music and put everything together. And that one was different because we built the music behind it.
Right.
We just had this basic track, and then it's Chris actually playing the guitar on it. Yeah, it's him actually playing it, which is so cool. But yeah, I think Two Heads holds that special place in my heart because of that. And just how quickly it came together, and it helps, just so we're all clear, it helps that Chris and I live 10 minutes away from each other.
Right.
It helps we had a studio that was readily available. It helps that we had grown up at the same studio. We had the same philosophy. We had the same kind of notion of where we wanted to take things and how to train the routine. And then we had so much help. Yeah. Benji and Lori and all of our friends just stepping in, really helping us out with that creation as well. So
Sorry I cut you up before. I know you were going to ask something. It does really make me think of the time that we also had talked to Chris about some of like the things as well. And I was almost going to ask, do you have one that was least favorite? Like, it doesn't have to be because of the person or the dancer or it just could be like,
I guess
maybe it was so far to travel. Like, it wasn't because of the dancer or the person, right?
yeah, I think there's a lot of that. And I think people train in different ways. Some people really excel with having long distance partnerships. Some excel with having really close partnerships.
Yeah.
And I know for me, I've always done better if I have a partner who's close. We can train regularly every single day, a couple hours a day. That's always been better for me than 6-7 hours in a studio. I just feel like I waste a lot of time. I waste a lot of energy. I'm not really doing my best. And so any of the partnerships that are a bit closer just tend to be better, not because of the person, just the distance. I feel like I'm getting more out of my training regimen, and I feel like I could do more with it. And it mimics that for me at like an open or at an event where I don't have 6 or 7, 8 hours to like train and prep and get ready. I have an hour, right? I'm going to go do my run through. I'm going to go get ready, stretch, move on and do it, right? So to me, it kind of mimics what I do at events. And so I think that's part of the reason why I like it.
Cool.
And there's plenty of partnerships that have worked out really well with that long distance.
Yeah.
This is just like a different, I think it's just per person and how you feel about it.
Yeah.
I mean, God, it's not even a bad routine. I just will forever be remembered for the cartwheel routine.
Which one?
Johnny did a cartwheel. It was our juniors routine, and my partner does this lovely cartwheel at the end, and I will forever be remembered for cartwheel I did not do. So,
I feel like you have to explain in the cartwheel a little bit.
so
Like, because I know we're partners.
yeah, I know. My junior's partner didn't really want to dance. His family wanted him to dance. His parents wanted him to dance. And so he would push back in random ways. So he would, at the time, the Open was held at the Marriott in Anaheim. So Disneyland was just down the street. So he would just leave and go to Disney.
Yeah.
He wouldn't show up to morning floor trials. He would just go to Disneyland instead. He'd skip out on lessons. He would stay awake all night at the routine. He just really didn't want to do it. And our final juniors routine was really hard, really fast. And we get out there, and he starts weaving in and out of the choreo in his memory from the get-go. And it's kind of discombobulated. It's a little strange. We get to the ending. It's this really hard ending. We're doing pot star turns. He kicks up on my head, but he has to time it right. It's supposed to go into a dip on the floor, and then we do our finale. And jokingly in practice, Lori had always been like, look, if you mess up, he used to do this really cool cartwheel. So cartwheel, he would land on his elbow and then do like a toe roll up. It was so cool. And she was like, hey, if you slay to the strength and just do the cartwheel. And unfortunately, things did not go well. They did not time it right. And instead, he cartwheels and then belly flops. There was no toe roll up. He just kind of belly flops and stakes his hand out. And
I love it.
you can hear it in the applause. The audience is very confused as to what's happening. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, it's just awful. So
Hold the pose.
and it's so hard. That's one of the frustrating things about this dance that I think we love so much is it is dependent on another person and their commitment of how much are they willing to put in, how much training, how much time, energy, money
Yeah.
are you willing to put in to do the thing that I want to do? And he was not. And so unfortunately, every year at the Open, it came up this year, and people are like, what's the cartwheel? And they're like, oh, you did the cartwheel. No, I did not do a cartwheel. if I ever make it to a Hall of Fame, then it'll be like they'll show the Cartwheel video, which God, I hope.
This is a young adult.
Young adult. Please don't look it up. Young adult.
Sarah?
I've tried. I have asked for it to be removed from YouTube for indecent exposure, all sorts of things. Nothing where it's can't get a ban.
We've watched some fun YouTube videos from West Coast Swing back in 1997 or 87.
We're watching the 80s, 90s videos on YouTube.
They're back, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Very
different.
pixelated.
very pixelated, 100%. But I love watching the old videos actually of routines because you can see the very clear trajectory
Yeah.
of how the dance has evolved and shaped and changed and who shaped it,
Yeah.
who changed it.
Yeah.
I love going through those deep dives, videos of watching old Brant and Khalees videos
Oh, so good.
and seeing that shift and that
Yeah.
change and leaders being more active in terms of their dance and matching what the follows are doing. It's just this awesome shift that you can kind of visually see. I mean, grainy as hell for sure.
Yeah.
Totally worth watching.
Like, who is that behind that?
Yeah.
That's a red dress or
Is
the
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you watch, and like my 2020 routine, I don't think a lot of people know. It was 2019 at the Open, but we were set to do it in 2020. Ryan and I danced to an old Brant and Khalees routine, School Days by Aretha Franklin, and it was a tribute, to them and some other old school moves that they had done, and we really wanted to produce something in that vein.
Keeps it alive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think anyone knows that, and so I do wish that we as a community were better about knowing our history. And some of it said it's just very short. There's not a lot of recorded history, right? But the more that we know about it, the more we can understand kind of like where we were in order to know where we're going.
Yeah.
See that trajectory.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's cool to go to the Open then and still see where those routines are going and how it's shifting and shaping, our current dance and what's going on.
I want to come back to a history question.
I love it.
Yes.
Yes.
I know you love history.
I do indeed.
That's no sarcasm. She actually.
I do, actually. I went to UC Berkeley. I studied history, and I give history facts in IMC. So absolutely true.
Really fascinating. And so when you have competed in classic or showcase, have you ever had a prelim to get to a final?
Classic, yes.
Yes.
100%. Showcase says never.
Yeah. Have you ever not made a final for classic?
I have.
Yes. How do you deal with that feeling of not making the final for classic?
Yeah, it's harsh, right? It's a hard cut. It's difficult because in this dance it's not standardized, which I don't think we should advocate for, but it's difficult when you produce a product that you feel really strongly about and you really enjoy, or you hear from other people how good it is and how unique it is and different it is, and it's pushing this, and this, and then it's not rewarded in that sense. I think the important thing to remember when you're facing, and whether this is routines or Jack and Jill's or Strictly's, and I think the older I've gotten, the more I've understood this, is that we recognize failures as failures so much more than what other people would categorize failures as. And they don't really remember. I had someone come into a lesson recently and they were like, "Oh, remind me when you won the Open." I was like, "Oh, I haven't." Think so. And they're like, "Oh, I know you did." And I was like,
No.
I mean, not in the way that you're saying. I have won it in inflammation teams, but I don't think you're talking about that. Like, I think you're talking about classic for showcase. And they were like, "No, I definitely remember." And I was like, "Okay, great. Well, I'll let you remember that. When you have my opus, let me know. I had to take it home." But I think, we really remember the things that we categorize as failures so much more than others do. And what people really remember is the longevity of a routine and how it makes people feel, right? The longevity of your career as a dancer and how you made them feel. Not the times you won or lost or not made a final or made the final. It's more about us reflecting negatively in what we would categorize as failure. And it's really hard to escape that because I think we compare ourselves so much and in a competitive environment. Right. Like, I think if we're looking at the overarching theme of like us looking at our failures, right? That's us looking at the wider scheme, and we remember that the times that we didn't make finals, the times that, I didn't win this contest, maybe I should have, or I didn't make finals at the Open. And people don't remember that.
Yeah.
They don't have a list at home of the times that you haven't made it. And if they do, my God,
Oh my goodness.
right? Like, impressive if you do. Yeah. What we do, we categorize that and we contribute that as part of our successes and failures. And I think we have such a narrow view of what success and failure is because of competition. And I love competition now, despite my previous discussion of it earlier. I think competition's for the positive, we can handle it in a positive way. And part of that positive is understanding that there's going to be times where I win and I shouldn't. There's going to be times where I lose and I shouldn't. And both are okay. And I have to be in a position enough mentally to know, okay, I did what I wanted to do. And so when I leave that floor, did I produce the dance that I wanted to produce? Did I do the thing that I wanted to do? Did I take the risk that I wanted to take, regardless of the outcome? Because there's so much of just people's opinion, and we could write a full book on the things that judges have told me over the years that I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Why did you judge off of that? I mean, I had a judge one time tell me they didn't like my costume.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they gave me fifth. And I was like, I wish there was more accountability for our judges, and not to standardize our dance, but just so they can explain it.
Yeah.
Give me something that I can use to then work on this craft, rather than a kind of obscure thing that affected you, but affected me, but not any other competitor. And so, I think
Like
we're
that
looking at
consistency in the things that people say
right.
to what the outcome is.
Right. And where do we place value? Right. Is it on level of difficulty and execution? Then how do we balance those things? Is it on the creative side? If I didn't like the song or the costume, but I respected what the dance produced, right? There's a lot of those things that I think we could try to, create an accountability system without standardizing the dance. Yeah. Without standardizing what we categorize as swing.
Yeah.
Swing is ever evolving and changing. Yeah. But I think it's still hard, and it's, I think if people are looking at these things, and looking at like the competitors who didn't make finals, there was a couple of routines out there that I thought should have made the final. They didn't. Yeah. And when they talked to me about it, I was like, look, I really enjoyed it, and I'm not a judge, and even if I was, that's not going to, balance out the others that didn't. And so, you put your craft on the floor and you did the thing that you wanted to do. You should be proud of that.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to be disappointed in it. Yeah. Where I think, get lost is when we allow that to consume us and consume our journey and where we're going. And it's easy to get lost in that. I didn't place here. I didn't make the final here. I'm not in all-star yet. I'm not a novice yet. I'm not doing these things yet. And so, well, I'm a failure. Yeah. It's like, well, how do we categorize that in this dance? There's a lot of people who are successful that haven't won the US Open. That's okay. Yeah. That's not the one quantifying factor.
Yeah.
Plenty of champions who are exquisite in their dance and their movement and how they produce events and how they produce community building and how they do all of these things, and they've never won an Open. They've danced for many, many years. Why is that the defining factor?
Yeah.
It's because we kind of narrow and focus it on. So the expansion of what success versus failure is, I think, would be good if we opened it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about like longevity as well. Like, there's a lot of moments where I feel like it could be a moment, this is gonna be the last time I'm gonna do this. So this is gonna be, I'm gonna give up now, or I'm gonna stop trying, or there's lots of things in people's lives that happen outside of the dance. I just feel like the space inside the dance should be enjoyable, even if there is sad moments and stuff like that, not affecting other people's enjoyment or experience. That it could be happy, because you're having a bad day as well. Is okay to feel those feelings being sad and know that you'll be feeling okay later on.
Yeah, and I would argue, sometimes those feelings produce some of our best dancing.
Oh yeah.
Dancing is all about expressing of our emotion, and whether it's happy, sad, nostalgic, whatever you want to, categorize it as. Sometimes we produce our best dances in those states, and I talked about this actually at shout out to Monterey Swing Fest, but
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Look at the
Sorry.
cup.
Yeah,
Look at the cup.
yeah.
If you want a fancy wine cup too,
from the Monterey Swing Fest.
It's break.
Isn't it cool?
It's
Yeah.
like smash proof.
You
Look
can
at it.
travel with it.
that'd be great for Mackenzie.
Does it smoosh?
Yeah, it does. Yes, you can toss it in the bag. No, it's incredible, you guys.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Okay.
Subtle plug. But
Merch.
but we do a wine tasting tour, and then we do a Q&A called Tipsy Triple Talk with Randy and I.
Cool.
And one of the things that came up, and I don't remember the exact question, but we were actually talking about my invitational dance here last year. And for a lot of people who don't know, my grandma passed on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, day before. And I was dancing with Ben in the invitational, a longtime friend of mine, and I kept trying to kind of go into this sad place of a sob. And it kept feeling like I was just trying to force this because I was sad. And I had found this song and I added it to a playlist just kind of on a whim. And Ben listened to it and he was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And I was like, Billy? And he was like, yeah, let's dance to this. This is so good. I I was like, great. It was like fast and kind of poppy and like really unique and different. We had never heard the song before. So we went with it. And like, I just felt so comfortable just going with like the emotion and where things take us. And so I think so often we try to kind of force things to happen based on, you know, our emotion or where we're at in this weekend or based on other things in our lives. And instead, like, we should embrace it. Like, why not, you know, and follow your intuition as to where you feel like it should go. You're allowed to be sad and disappointed. You're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to be joyous about these different things, whether it's outside life or current life inside the community. Just go with it. It'll produce your best dance. It's authentic. That's what I want. We want to produce authentic dances, you know? And I got so many compliments off of that dance. And I was just sitting there going like, God, I'm sad as you know? And like, but it's not reading that way. It's just an authentic dance in that moment. So I think we're entitled to, you know, our feelings so long as they don't disrupt, like you were saying, us. Right? My sadness and melancholy and disappointment for whatever reason is not allowed to taint your experience here. Right? And vice versa. And you're still allowed to be sad, but you can't ruin it for everyone else. Same as like the overjoyous and over celebrating and making people feel bad that like you made the final and they didn't. It's the same notion. First, right? Supportive of one another, no matter what it is. You know, and no matter what state we're in, and we should be able to compartmentalize, you know, this happened here, and then this is happening here. I can still be supportive even if I'm sad here. And try to kind of allow that to be, you know, allow it to exist in our emotions.
Do you want to go to the next one?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, we started talking about lunch. What is this jacket you're wearing? Oh, this wonderful jacket. What is this wonderful jacket?
Monterey Swing Fest.
January 14 through 19 in Monterey, California, not Mexico. We are an event like no otter.
No otter?
No otter, yes, exactly. The otter being our mascot. But it's a lovely event. I'm biased. I totally get it.
I've never been, and I
love water. You guys have to come. I mean, we try to do so much to like incorporate Monterey itself with the event. So we do like a nature hike on Sunday morning and like get people out of the event hotel.
I love that.
We do a wine tasting tour that takes you on Cannery Road next to the aquarium, right? And then of course we have all the dance stuff that we normally do. We do a choreo intensive that we've added this year, which is going to be a really unique intensive. Actually, it's a full routine choreographed by 6 different couples that build the routine off of each other.
Cool.
Yeah. So we do a bunch of fun stuff that just kind of, we do the Champions Roast of Champions, which is very wild and terrifying. We take your phone away so you can't record.
Can you say that again? Because this is like one of the most new things.
This is the reason I want to go all in out.
What is it?
So this started because Benji's birthday is around Monterey, and the first year we roasted Benji. So we did like, you know, the Comedy Central roast, but of champions roasting each other. And so it's the Champions Roast of Champions. We do a donation minimum of, I want to say, $15, and all of the money that's donated goes to the John Wheaton Legacy Foundation. John Wheaton used to run the event. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2022. He used to run Monterey Swing Fest, Jack and Jill Robin Halloween Swing Thing. And so there's a foundation in his name, and all the money goes towards juniors learning West Coast Swing, sponsoring them, helping them get their education in dance, going to events, anything like that. So all the money that we're doing, we're just roasting the ever-loving unit out of each other and bringing up things that you guys would never know, right? Which is why we take your phones away. With consent, we take it away. So you can't record, can't know what's happening, and we just rip each other a new way. And it's, there is, nothing is held back. Nothing at all.
Friends can talk to each other's faces and be like, it's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is it like a disclaimer thing? Everyone has this line to be like, I won't be offended or emotionally undoing it. Or anything.
Which is why we take the phones. There's no point right? It's all hearsay then, right? Which is our motive.
You cannot hold this against me for what I
added in our overall liability waiver. So if you come to the event, you sign it. You also sign up for it.
Okay.
But you know, every year it grows. Every year I'm like, oh my God, there's more and more people in here. And more champions are willing to do it. And it's listen, scares me a little every year going into it, but you know, it's one of the unique features of the event.
Like that workshop, by the way.
Thanks, man. That's all right. We weren't filming at all.
Oh my God, it's so funny.
Welcome to the after party.
Just so,
after party.
Just so you know, we were filming.
Just so you know, guys.
You had a good workshop and he liked it.
Yes, we did. Oh, guys. Thank you. This is our workshop for the weekend. We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Excellent.
Thursday night.
Yeah. I love it.
I think
You know, I'm going to keep this in. Everyone just walking through. I think it's part of it. You've seen.
it kind of adds an element.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's see who else is next.
I was expecting more, to be honest, but you know.
Fair, yeah. I kind of was too. But
Yeah.
Here we are.
I think history is something that we're now seeing that it's not really being told or taught to a lot of the new dancers coming through.
Yeah.
Is there, so if you go back to like, I guess when you started your West Coast Swing journey, and then as you were kind of moving up,
Yeah.
is there something that you really like that has now appeared in our time of West Coast Swing, and something that like didn't exist back then, and something that is no longer around, which you kind of wish was there?
Ooh. All right. So on the first or the latter one, we'll say the latter one first, because that immediately comes to my mind. I think overall, and this is something we tried to keep at our event for a very long time. There was combined divisions of All-Star champs, and I think a lot of people don't understand the history and the trajectory of how All-Stars really developed.
Yeah.
And a lot of the confusion, there was champions, but there was also invitational that got points. There was also a professional division. So there was a lot of different points being kind of handed out at the time before it was really set and secure. And so one of the things that I really appreciate, we tried to keep for a very long time at Monterey, and I know other events did as well, was a combined All-Star Champions Jack and Jill. And part of the reason we really liked that is that it gave All-Stars the chance to dance with champions. And one of the things that I think is not really well told or talked about is that head judges in those situations and event directors both would actively try to keep some seats open. Who's kind of this next up and coming?
Yeah.
Who do we kind of see coming into this next realm of champions? And even if you weren't one of those people, the All-Star champs, in my experience, and a lot of the champions at my level right now, would dance with pros, they would be impressed, and then they would ask you for a Strictly. And a Strictly would be the way that you kind of made your pathway into champions.
Yeah.
And so I think the combination of having that combined All-Star champions was a really positive thing that has now been seen as a negative thing. We've kind of lost this in our dance more and more. And in particular, with new rules coming into effect in 2026, combined divisions are no longer allowed.
Oh.
Yes. I believe that it was an important part of our dance to have that combination.
Yeah.
I can understand the arguments as to why we should not have them.
Australia is fucked.
Anyone with a small community is generally not going to
True.
from the change.
100% screwed.
Right. And I think, unfortunately, it's always given that pathway to dance up with people that you would not normally get the chance to dance with.
Yeah.
And so it allowed for people to get that experience and get that beat right.
Yeah.
It's different to visually watch. Right. It's a whole different ballgame when you dance with someone at a higher level and you go, oh, I'm not picking up on this. Like, I need to up my game. I need to do these other things. Right. And so I think understanding that and having this combined division was a positive thing. And I think not understanding that history, not understanding that there was this idea of like, this is for you. This isn't to guarantee spot for champs. This is a pathway for All-Stars to make their way into champions.
I definitely knew that there was like, if a champion asked you to dance in Strictly, that would be like your invitation of like a part of the invitation to be like, oh, this is amazing. They did really well, or they didn't. I didn't even think about the idea of like the Jack and Jill side of it was like a way to even just feel that first, to then be like, oh no, I do want to do Strictly, because it like very often it's hard to find a champion that's going to always be around the ballroom, because there's like teaching, and then there's judging, and then there's competing, and then there's a routine, and then
private lessons,
and
judging.
it's all the things. Yeah. So it's harder to experience that, and then imagining the weekend, there's like, am I going to be resting during that time that you're going to be social dancing or not social dancing? Like, and back then there was like room parties, a lot of room parties. It's like, who's timing the ballroom in that time?
Right. And I think unfortunately it's been kind of categorized as like, gatekeeping. And I think, it exists, but I don't think to the extent that we necessarily think it does. I think a lot of this comes down to when you're looking at it, even if, so I'll give an example, right? So say we're in a combined division All-Star champs, right?
Yeah.
And I know you're competing champions now, which congratulations.
Yeah.
Love. But say you were still in All-Stars at the time. Yeah. And I draw you and I go, oh man, I really like how you feel. I like what you produce. I really enjoyed this dance. I'm happy to vouch for you, whether you make this final or not. Then you can ask for Strictly, then we book it, and then that vouching keeps going and happening and continuing. And so I think this notion of kind of losing that, I think there's this idea that it's going to be beneficial, and I actually don't know if it will be. And I like the idea of like, I want to be able to dance with people who are on their way in.
Yeah.
I want to be able to feel and dance and have that with you.
It's less scary for us. Like,
Yeah.
I'm close to BRG champs as well. So it's like a terrifying thought to think that now we're going to be dancing with these people at a competition level
Right.
that we've never experienced that with. So it's always.
Even just because we qualify for champs doesn't mean we have, there's this buffer period where I could still compete in All Stars, but then once you're kicked out, then you're stuck in this limbo period of like, okay, now how do I show up? How do I?
Right.
Do I belong? What do I need to do? You've got this long period of like a lull after doing well in All Stars, or maybe like just making it through. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's there's no easy solution to a lot of these things that we're talking about. Our dance has grown exponentially, right?
Yeah.
Which is part of the reasons why I'll rape around in the first place.
Yeah.
And it's great. And like we want it to be, an international dance. We don't want it to be limited and held back. We want it to be growing. We want it to continue. And I think like the lack of that history of understanding of why this existed in the first place is just not being understood.
Yeah.
Right. And having that experience, you realize really quickly, oh wow, like the level of what I need to do to be in champions is vastly different. And I have not comprehended that until this moment.
Yeah.
Right. And now I'm dancing with this person and you're going, oh man, I really got to level up my game. I got to do these things. I got to train different. I got to, produce differently than what I have been doing. Because there is that gap between the two. And I think, All Stars have really grown exponentially.
Yeah.
Right. And there is this need to produce separate divisions at times. But I think when I've talked to people about it, they don't understand the value of what it provided. They only are seeing the negative. And so I try as best I can to explain, well, this is why we have this, or had this, right? This is why we ended up doing these. It was to provide this pathway and this chance to feel the champions and feel and give you that shot and leave some chairs open up there.
I guess it means that like the Strictly side of it can still be, because Strictly is appointed or regulated by the rules. I don't believe.
What if Strictly is not W?
But like,
Last I checked, but we'll see.
Who knows?
Last I
That
checked.
could change.
but that's like the one place you can choose who you want to dance with, and then it's like, okay, does everyone want to? Yeah, of course, all the All Stars would love to probably dance with a champion, or like any intermediate would like to dance in advance, and so on and so on. But like it was a chance and like a bingo or like a luck of the draw thing, where this is kind of like, if you did it Strictly, it's like a high-low situation,
Right.
or like
Or like a vouching for, like I genuinely think like, and getting that experience in the context, like sometimes people's competition dancing is vastly different. How they dance socially, or in a private lesson, or if you send in a video when you're dancing with another all-star, they get so different. And so to experience people in that realm provides a vastly different opportunity than I think people recognize.
Yeah.
And like the Strictlys, and I can't stress this enough, really were that vouching for system. And it shifted a little bit in what happens, but I think that's also because of two things that I'll get to. But, when you look at people's first Strictlys, when they're moving in, from an all-star into champs, or like in my case, kind of the advanced to some all-stars, because it didn't quite exist everywhere, into champs, look at who their first Strictly partners were, right? Like my first Strictly partners were Kyle Red, Michael Kilbasa, Ben Morris, and Ben Schwimmer.
Nice.
So, these are the people vouching for you. It says a lot, right? And part of the reason that shifted a little bit is a lot of events don't have Strictlys anymore, right? There's a lot that have shifted away from that. So the amount of Strictlys that we get with each other has also reduced, which means those openings have also reduced.
Yeah.
They have some events that are doing like a champion's choice, which is like an all-star champ combined, Strictly, right?
That's cool.
There are events that do that. Not. I think there's only like 3 that I can think of offhand.
Right.
If that. But that's an opportunity, right? And then there's also this notion that like a lot of shows when I'm going, like, if I go to Europe, I'm doing a show, I'm not doing a strip,
Right.
right? And I'll do a Jack and Jill. So it kind of depends on like where you're at and what the event's offering, based on whether or not that strip is available. So I think those two things combined have made, it more difficult for All Stars to feel like they have an into the Champions division, even when there is a way, but it's just been reduced.
Yeah.
Sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of pointing into the division, and it's give it like that pathway of understanding how many points you need, but then it's still going to be a very big difference between the two.
Yeah, right. And division gives you that experience beforehand,
Yeah.
right? Whereas now you're in it, you're kind of thrown into this,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh man, right? And you can't go back down. You point it out. So now what do we do? Yeah, right. And I think that there's a lot of things that we could do, right, to kind of talk about this issue. I don't necessarily oppose the creation of a new division, but the new division isn't to gatekeep. It's because our dance has grown.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Right.
so whether you want to call it All Stars or Champions, like there's still a ceiling somewhere.
Yeah.
Show.
Right. And there's only so many seats available. So regardless, I think the way that our dance has grown, you do need another division. That's why Newcomer created. Right.
Yeah.
Like that's why Newcomer was created and formulated as okay, well,
You don't want to
an
compete them
official,
together.
yeah, WSCC event, right? So now, I think there could be one.
Yeah.
I think if it was explained properly, people would receive it better.
Yeah.
And like, we're not trying to make it where it's like, we'll just keep.
We're better than you guys, whatever. Yeah.
But I've thought this for a long time that like there does need to be another division. But call it whatever you want. It can be in between novice and intermediate, whatever. But I think our Just Dance has grown. If you can get from novice to all-star in a year, we need more divisions.
Yeah.
Or we need to rank things differently, based on points and how we tier things. So, I'm not trying to hinder the growth, but it's just at a certain point you're going to hit a ceiling and then what?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like definitely even during COVID when it like blew up on TikTok and stuff like that, people mention it in Australia, like when no one knew the dance unless it was promoted in certain ways.
Yeah.
And they think about America and other countries that have more of that social media presence.
Yeah.
Because there's more algorithms that are going this way. Then yeah, it's going to be definitely have grown in that point. For sure.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. And what is the thing that has evolved and changed that you like that we don't have?
Oh, I mean, I would argue one of the best things about this dance, and I think the thing that draws us into this dance is the creativity. Right, on both parties, lead and follow. And so with the dance constantly evolving and pushing these boundaries of, what songs are acceptable, what's not acceptable, what style of dancing is acceptable, where do we take this dance from here? What do we categorize as swing? And having these discussions and debates, I love that in our dance. That has continued through. I mean, you talk to people who, were around in the 80s or the 90s or even the early 2000s, and it's always a topic of conversation of what is swing? Yeah, what do we categorize it as such? And I think having these discussions drives our creativity and pushes the boundaries of things. I mean, and like we talked about two heads earlier, like I had no idea how that was going to be received. I felt like there's a banjo in this, there's some techno in this. One point that sounds like water. I have no idea. We have purple hair. I have no idea what's going to happen. And it was received so well.
Yeah.
And so, when we allow our dance to be creative,
Yeah.
and to push those boundaries,
Yeah.
I think our dance grows for the benefit of it. In a way that other dances don't have that luxury of doing, right? And it's because we're based on the contemporary music of our time. Clothing, shoes, everything influences what we do in the dance. And so, you see someone with this hairstyle or this or this or this, oh my God, and then we start changing ourselves, right? And it pushes the dance more and more. And sometimes we suffer from it. Right? I totally see that, right? We'll push too creatively. Maybe champs can do it. Maybe not everyone can. Okay, I get it. But for the most part, I think it's for the benefit, right? To push our creative realm and our notion of where we're heading and where we go. And you see those changes, like I talked about earlier. You watch those videos, you can see and kind of categorize those moments. I hope that eventually we are those people too.
Yeah.
Right, where you can see that and go, oh, this is where these changed, right? This is exactly where this moment happened, and it pushed our dance in this direction in a positive way.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Heck
in a positive way, right?
What type of shoes did you wear when you started?
Oh God.
The back of the day shoes.
Okay, so the leaders, like hover toe, Cuban heel was standard. That's what everyone wore. And what we had to do is we wore leather shoes and we would spray paint them to match our costume. Yeah, it was a really, really big deal back then. So it was matching strictly outfits. That was a huge deal. You would go shopping and make sure you guys matched in terms of the color and what we were wearing. It was all planned out ahead of time. Yes, totally changed. Probably for the better, but still. So we wore these leather shoes that allowed 0 point.
Nice.
So just constant flex feet. You'd be pointing as hard as you
Only
could
flex.
and just flex constant. And then they produced a sandal, right? That we've seen throughout the year. Oh my God. Thank God you could point your toe. Huge revolutionary change. If you talk about like, the wheel. No. Sandal shoes and West Coast swing. Big deal for us. You could finally point your toes as a follower. Thank God.
That's amazing.
And then we went into more of the boots. Yeah, right. Boots were a big deal.
We'll go through the 3-inch heel.
God, I know. Thank God. I would have quit West Coast
I
swing.
did.
What?
I was because we had a transition from modern jive to West Coast swing, and in modern jive at the time I was wearing this, and then we wore it was
skipped that. Thank God.
It was a brief.
I feel like that's a very Latin influence. Like that's a Latin heel.
Oh yeah.
Or like a
Well, I mean, we had it in swing.
yeah,
It's
right.
a long time in, right?
Right.
I mean, and like if you look at like Blake Hobby used to wear like these stacked high heels.
Damn.
And just God, I don't dance well in heels. That's why I didn't do Latin ballroom for longer than like a year. And they called it up the Cubans.
T-Rex.
Yeah. My knees were very prevalent. You didn't want to see it. It's real bad in all fronts. Thank God we don't wire to wear that. But you see that shift, and shoes change how we settle. It's elongated the dance. It's created a pretty massive shift. So something as simple as like a heel to a Cuban, right? A little thicker, chunkier heel just dramatically changes the dance overall. Yeah, and just seeing those little notches throughout our history of what's changed things is really fascinating, at least to me. You're not that wrong, but to me it is.
Well, this is like I definitely have thought about. Okay, we definitely worn different shoes throughout the period of time. Yeah. But I've never really, other than the speed of like my foot on the floor, I've never really thought about the point. I've definitely thought about the flexibility of the shoe, but I never really thought about, like, especially in a routine or if you're doing aerials, like, especially like a showcase, right? And you're in the air and you got this bike's foot. It does look
Gonna work well.
Yeah.
It's gonna look good.
Yeah.
And maybe this is something where it's more of a followers thing, right? Because so for instance, there's a big debate over like a toe strike versus a heel strike, right? On when I do my one. Yeah. And you're like, okay, but like if you're gonna sit here and argue that it's always been a heel strike, go watch Blake Hobby.
Right.
On a heel strike and a stiletto? No, it doesn't happen, right? It's not like, no.
Yeah.
There are different ways that we do things, right? And so, the heel in particular, but the foot style or the shoe style of where and how I can send my foot. A flatter shoe means I can take bigger stabs, right? So whether that's good or bad for the dance is kind of up to interpretation.
Yeah.
But that definitely means I can do a more pronounced heel strike or a toe roll through. That's kind of up to me.
Yeah.
Whereas a stiletto gives one choice. If you've never worn a stiletto, go home and try it. Lead or follow, does not matter. Try to do a heel strike. It's just not going to work,
I'm imagining Phoenix in his 9-inch
Oh, yeah.
like heels.
I mean, like, you put on 2-inch heels and try it. Like, it's not going to work, buddy. You don't need the 9-inch heels. You just a couple inches.
Or nothing. 9 inches.
I'll pay to see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair liability warning. Please don't go home and do what I just said and sue me because, won't go well. So if you're listening to this, you've automatically agreed to the liability waiver for anything else.
I think there's one other thing, I love the event thing we covered a little bit, but I want to even talk about, you also teach at a lot of events.
Yes.
And
You do so many things.
Yeah.
What about hats? Yes.
You have so many hats.
Event director, MCing, competing, judging. Did I say teaching?
No.
Teaching,
Performing.
What
else you got?
DJing? Do you do DJing?
Not well, but I do it if you're interested.
What a plug.
Can I? Yes.
What a sell.
Will I? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Am I known for it?
Makeup?
No.
Makeup for everyone else?
Not known for that. Not known for that, but I can do it.
Yeah.
Once again, can I? Yes. Should I? Up to interpretation. I have DJ'd. I just don't do it often.
Yeah.
It's just not like what I'm known for doing.
What is your okay, let's go top 3 hats. Because I know you like a lot of those things.
I do. I would say performing is at my core.
Yep.
I really love that.
You love performing.
And it's shocking.
I
know.
never would have assumed.
You're gonna be shocked by all of these, I think.
Yes.
Honestly. But performing and in particular, I think we've talked about this, but I really enjoy spotlights. You know, not everyone does. But there's something very relaxing about everyone just watching me, which I know sounds very narcissistic. Does it's not, but there's something like comforting in it of like I get to just be me
Yeah.
without worry or fear of what others are doing around.
I've made it already. Now I really can
Now I just
be
get
me.
to do what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's something comforting in that for me for spotlights. So performing, I would say, and then teaching. I feel very comfortable as a teacher. I've been teaching for a very long time, since I was about 15. I had wonderful mentors in dance, and then my parents both are history professors. My mom was a lawyer. She's now a history professor. My dad's been a history professor as long as I've known him. And that was a joke. But anyway, it wasn't good, but it was a joke. But the way that they break things down, the way they explain things and build off of this, like, here's how we progress through things. I think I've had a lot of mentors in my life who have really helped me do that. And I do find myself on teaching. I think it's one of the reasons why I get hired as a solo entity, as a teacher, because I feel like I have really done well and I've learned how to teach.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't take the time to learn how to teach.
Yeah.
What am I doing? How do I break things down? How do I make it accessible? How do we make it fun? Right? A lot of people aren't doing this to become a champion in a year. How do we make this accessible as a hobby that you can still better your craft and make it better?
And I love, like, I do love watching you teach because I love you explaining things. And this is like, a lot of people ask us, you know, to improve my dancing, should I do solo dancing? I'm like, absolutely. But for anyone who's a teacher or wanting to be a teacher, that in itself has a ton of value because
So much.
I see you, because I know you've done a lot of solo dancing, you're classically trained. So a lot of that you can still bring into your classes in West Coast, which is really cool. Because, you know, it applies to different brains of people in the room and some things that'll just like click with some people more than others, which was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like, I've had people be like, oh, I just shouldn't get other training. Latin, ballroom, country, solo, anything like that. Absolutely.
Anything.
Any knowledge is beneficial knowledge, right? The difficulty is sifting through it.
Yeah.
Where and how do I take this knowledge and then apply it to my West Coast swing?
Yeah.
And that just takes some time and effort and some guidance. Right? But anyone can do it. All knowledge is good knowledge to have, especially when it comes to cross training in any capacity.
Right.
So I do pride myself on my teaching.
Yeah.
And then emceeing, which is kind of the last thing I had developed, ironically. In my
It's
career.
so good.
Thank
You're
you.
one of
Love
my
it.
favorite
Love it.
Thank you.
I love it when you pop in your history fact and random funny things that I'm like, wow, how do you know this?
I paid a lot of money. I went to UC Berkeley, and then I do research. I've had people tell me before, like, oh, your fake history facts are so funny. I'm like, no,
No, they're real.
no, they're real. Like, I do the research. I back it up. Like, 100% I do that. I have a full, like, notes app.
I was gonna say, you have so they're like your backup fill in time.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
Yeah, how do I
Propel.
fill time and educate, right?
Yeah.
It's like I really love the notion of educating, you know, and it forces people to listen. They have to, right? I have the mic, you don't. I'm going to tell you some history.
I feel like you've done a great way of blending all three of these, like emceeing, you're out in the spotlight. You're also teaching them about a history fact and educating them on also as a teacher.
Yep.
Like all three of them are kind of together.
I know, that's why I said shocked. You're shocked by all three of these.
Genius.
I
Genius.
Yes. How can I make these all work together?
don't how.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say, like, I think, you know, a lot of the MC gig, I think a lot of people think it's just, and we've talked about this, right? Like getting out there and just like being on a mic. Yes. So much more than that's a big part of it. Can you keep people entertained? Can you draw them in? Can you get them to do the thing you're asking to do by the masses and getting them, you know, marshaling and checked in and doing this and this is what's coming next? And like, keep that. But so much of it is the logistics, right? How quickly can I run a heat if we're running behind? What can I do to expedite this situation? What happens if this happens? If I notice something that's going on, and then how do I, you know, talk to the head judge about it, or, you know, the
DJ.
or the DJ,
Yeah.
checking in with all these people. And a good MC really is in tune to all of those things, right?
Not many people notice; they just see them talking.
Right. And I have, you know, we used to have this opportunity at Monterey, we do this West Coast Swing 101, and it was from an old Skippy Blair, you know, it was basically Newcomer before Newcomer existed, right? And Skippy had started it. And so we had done it at Monterey for years and years. And we used it as an opportunity for people to MC, right? It's really the only chance.
It's like an open mic night.
Kind of, yeah. And there's no repercussions, right? Like, you're not running novice at an event where it's like, oh crap, you've totally messed us up and now we're off time by 3 hours or whatever. It's like, okay, let's get you some experience in this. And like,
Yeah, it's a good idea.
so often the number one thing I hear from people is like, oh my God, I had no idea how many things you had to remember. Because we compete and we do it, we do it by second nature, but then like giving the instruction of the thing, totally different.
Find a spot, rotate your partner. How many rotating? What time is it?
Who rotates first? Yeah. Circle and partnership. Do I do the randomization? How do I do this? What's the number range? Do I check in with the DJ? Are we doing a fourth song? Do we need another heat? Are you dancing again? Are we rotating on and off the floor? There's so many things that play. Yeah. It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
But I would argue those three are my favorite.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, because I love that all these things like you mentioned just a second ago, like getting hired as a solo teacher as well, like to teach with someone else all by yourself as well.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like this plays a massive factor in why you get hired as a solo teacher, because you've got these skills that are like, say multiple than just ones, or do you feel like people you most so get hired for one specifically?
I would argue that I think the community has really shifted. So, when I was a kid, the big thing was like, you have a partner, this is your partner, you get hired as a partnership. And very rarely, if ever, were people hired as a solo entity in any capacity. And those that were usually male leaders.
Yep.
For a variety of reasons, right? Either as a solo entity judge or as an instructor, and it was assumed that, well, they can just grab someone and lead them and it'll be totally fine, they can teach that class. It really wasn't assumed for follows for a very long time. So I think a couple of things have helped me with that journey. I am still one of the few that's hired as a solo entity, or have multiple partners that I will teach with. Usually hired solo and then paired together with them.
Yep.
And part of that is that when I first started getting hired, it was because of my teaching. And event directors would comment on that. There was a variety of ways that people would kind of make that transition to attending events, doing this professionally, and getting on staff. And for some people, it was, I'm going to stay out all night and social dance with everyone. And he goes, man, I would love that. We got to have fun. Right? That was one way. Another way was doing really well in Jack and Jill's and Strictly's. And then getting that nod, okay, we're going to bring you on as a judge or an instructor.
Right.
For me, that pathway was from my teaching.
Yeah.
And people really recognized and talked about it. I had good reviews. People wanted me back. And so that was kind of my pathway to get into it. I do as much social dancing as I can, but that was never my thing because I was a junior in the community. One, it was not safe. We weren't allowed to by our parents. By 2 a.m., it's like, all right, we go. We're out.
Yeah.
Right. Out of bed, right? Then we usually had 5 a.m. floor trials. So we did stay out. It wasn't very late. We had 5 a.m., we had 7 a.m. Our routines were important. You have responsibilities to your partnership, to your teams, the things you had to do.
Yeah.
And so don't get me wrong, I enjoy social dancing. I love it. But it's not the top priority. It never has been for me. And so that wasn't my pathway to get hired at events. It was definitely through my teaching.
Yeah.
Right? And then doing routines, that always helped.
Yeah.
When
Your routines are always useful.
Yeah, right. Especially, and I would argue pre-COVID more so than now. Pre-COVID, MackZaddy was such a big part of routines, right? Doing routines was such a big component of our deals, and making that part, make or break whether you made finals at the Open. It was a big deal.
So many couples in Classic, or so many, and then.
So it really made that make or break for you as to whether or not you'd get hired.
Yeah.
And so I think understanding that transition as well has helped. I think the MCing has definitely helped as well.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a different perspective on the mic. Most of the MCs in the community are males.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of female MCs in our community, and I wish there was more. I do.
Yeah.
You and Lauren, like,
yeah.
I love you guys, like as MCs.
Bosses.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a
So
few
good.
that have cropped up, but I haven't quite gotten to the place. And this is not a brag, where I'm hired as their main MC at events. Right?
Yeah.
Some have, but they're still doing the other things. And usually for events that hire me as their main MC, they also are like, look, we really want you to teach. I'm like, we'll make it work, and I'm just dead by the weekend. But, because it's a lot, but, it's mentally exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So you have to manage the energy over the burn.
Yeah.
The whole time you have sometimes if you're the only MC for the weekend, which does happen, that's a lot. It's many hours of energy.
Yeah.
In a meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you keep that sustained?
Yeah.
right? Without constantly going hard at pay
Yeah.
all the time, all weekend.
Yeah.
Every edition, right?
And then like even in the US, it's like comps are going from more than Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
Or there's like Wednesday to Wednesday, and you're like, how was this last year?
Yeah.
Or like Sunday to Sunday.
Yeah. And I would argue too, I mean, I think, you know, as an event director, looking at the important roles to fill, right? You want to fill your champ roles first in terms of who's judging champs, who's DJing champs, who's MC champs, right? Those are kind of the important roles to fill because so often we do those things.
Yep.
Yeah. That then if I can't do it, if I can't judge champs, who am I going to hire to get, right?
Yeah.
So those are the kind of the first tier. Try to sort those people out and make sure I have enough of those things.
Yeah.
The next thing for me is a good MC,
Yeah.
right? Because they can make or break a ballroom. They can make or break your schedule,
Yeah.
right? And putting the people who understand those logistics on the important sections that we really need. You know, last year at Monterey, subtle plug, but last year at Monterey, right before we started the weekend, we hit tier 5 for novice, which means we needed to add a quarterfinal.
Right.
And my schedule was very tight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very, very tight. And I was very nervous. And I put myself on novice intermediate to make sure that we were pushing through and we were okay on time.
As in your MC?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Which is a lot, by the way. I would not recommend emceeing at your own event, but here we are. But I was like, man, I got to do this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have the contracts for other people to do this, and so I need to step up and do it. Make sure this event runs on time. And thank God for the team that we had because we ended an hour early. An hour early, and I was like, oh my God, thank God. But,
Nice.
so our judging team, our scorekeeping team, our marshalling team, and then
Yeah.
making sure I was on top of things for logistics.
Nice.
Game changer,
Nice.
right? And so filling an MC who can understand logistics and then carry a vibe for the weekend is so important.
No one would have noticed. They would have been like, oh, sweet, we're running ahead. They'll notice when you're running ahead. They'll be like grateful when you're running ahead, but
They really notice when you run behind. We really notice when things are delayed an hour, 2, 3 hours, right? And there's things that I can do as an MC to really help catch us up. And so I think carrying the vibe and keeping a good energy throughout the ballroom and then keeping things in the logistics on time is key as an MC. And like, I don't mean this really, I think good judges are important, good teachers are important. But, you know, say you guys have an off workshop, right? Yeah. You have an off workshop, you're just not quite there. It's not going to make or break the event. But an MC being off really does have that kind of weight or that value in that sense, right? And so I think part of the solo hiring that's happened is because of that make or break, right? Logistics. And I feel that I'm very good at those logistics and managing a lot of those things.
yeah.
And so that's always helped, right? In terms of the continuing my career. And I think longevity, just I've been around for a very long time. I have relationships with these people, with events that I've been working for years and years. And I think that goes a long way, that loyalty and understanding and, you know, having that friendship and that, that history with people is also important, you know. I think a lot of people don't realize too that, you know, so much of our community is based on word of mouth. I get asked all the time, who would you recommend? Who would you recommend to hire? Right? And I have a long list of people that I'm like, I loved working with them. I was at this event and I noticed this, right? They've worked for my event. This is what I noticed and really loved, right? Yeah. And so stepping up and being there for events, I think really can make or break as well, you know, as you're trying to transition into a career in this community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely have experienced more of that in the last year in the sense of like being recommended or working with people and being like, oh yeah, these guys can, like we've been working at an event with them unofficially. We were just like helping as much as we could.
Right.
And then we'll be like, oh, like ask these guys if they would like us there first, because the team itself that is at your event,
Right.
they include like the vibe of your team matters a lot as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. This is awesome. So
Where can people find you on the socials, Tara?
On the social.
The social.
I'm on Facebook, no surprise, Tara Trafzer. Instagram as Tara Trafzer. The TikTok as Tara Trafzer. I'm pretty sure.
this is
Wait, and then
actually
the YouTube, like the YouTube is
the
the
YouTube as Tara Trafzer.
Is there a random number?
is there a VHS?
No, actually, I don't know my YouTube number. I should look it up.
Because
That's awesome.
somehow I have a YouTube channel like my own personal one. There's nothing on it, but it's like my name and a random number. And I'm like,
Yeah.
guy.
Unless you're like doing it like our Zaddy one, we actually put the effort into it.
Yeah. If you just Google my name, it'll come up.
Definitely.
That or my dad. See, arguably, if you Google Trapzer, his name comes up first. and then mine. I'm secondary to my father, but he's still really well-known historian. That's
We
why.
say Tara, but it's in Australia it's
Yes.
Tara.
Tara for
Just in
Australia.
case you're wondering.
Yeah, it's just the accent. I know.
For some reason,
I
American
think we spelled Tara, but not Trafzer.
Yeah.
Just assume.
Oh yeah, the easier
You can
one.
spell Trafzer if you need to.
Trafzer.
There you go. Very
Yeah,
nice.
Trafzer.
Listen, I was a bridesmaid in my friend's wedding, and she misspelled my last name. So,
Oh my god.
shout out to Shelby.
Love you, Shelby.
And then she was like, "Don't worry, I fixed it." No, still wrong. Still wrong.
Still dyslexic.
That's okay. We'll work on that.
I
Anything else? Any last minute thoughts? Like,
It's
fair. This was
like-
wonderful, you guys.
yeah.
You're wonderful.
You're wonderful.
Wonderful.
You're wonderful. You come back to NZ next year? We don't know yet.
I do know. I will be there. Yes. Be in New Zealand. I will be at Shakedown Swing.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they've already announced me being in before the podcast comes out. Double check. We'll check. Yeah, sorry, guys.
I'll ask them before we post it.
Okay, yeah, good call.
And it's anyone who does not know about the Great Emu War,
Oh my god.
you should definitely Google that.
I do think it's the reason I'm not hired in Australia anymore. We can ask them officially, but I'm pretty sure it's because I gave that history back, and the Australians weren't necessarily thrilled with it. So
But it's still funny. So you should still Google it.
you still
And,
Google it, but just know that's probably the reason I'm banned from Australia.
Or come to New Zealand and you'll find out because you'll make us Australians look bad in front of the New
I
Zealanders.
have to. Yeah.
I mean, it's fair. We all give each other shit
I'm
all
not
the time.
banned from New Zealand.
No,
I'm
there's
banned from Australia. I have to bring it up.
Banned from Australia.
I think I am. I think I'm on a government watch list, but it could be me and Raygun, just
Oh my goodness.
the best dancer in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Proven. I've seen the best that you guys offer.
yeah, it's not. We try.
Now I just try offending Australia. Sorry. I'm not here to offend
It's
you.
very funny.
So
Can
sorry.
you say EMU? How you would say it?
Emu?
Emu.
Emu?
It's like a cow and an eel. An eel and a cow.
Yeah.
Emu.
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 What do you call it?
Emu. Emu.
Is that it?
Exactly.
It's like an MEW instead of a MOO.
Emu. Like
a cat.
It's like a cat.
Emu. There you go.
we sound very special right now.
Emu. It's the emu or I will say, so one of the years that I was in Australia, we went to the wildlife sanctuary.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I will say, they let us into the, call it,
Is
not
this the
cages.
cuddles of koalas?
No, where the kangaroos and the emus are.
Oh yeah,
right?
okay.
So they let us in there, and kangaroos were chilling, so great. Oh yeah, but the emus coming up, oh my god, terrifying. So I do understand.
They're massive.
Yeah, they're scary.
Huge,
Massive.
ancient dinosaurs coming to attack you.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still think it's funny, but
It's like a giraffe and a horse and a bird made
And a
up.
turkey.
yes.
And
Like a turkey and
Yeah.
a giraffe made a baby.
Is that the bird of Australia? National bird?
Yeah.
Emu.
Is it?
And a
Emus
kangaroo.
on our coins
Our emblem is a kangaroo.
and a kangaroo.
Is it because he lost to the war? Was that in the treaty?
That's so
That treaty? The treaty of emus.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. On that note, we're gonna make sure that Tara starts making us look bad. Thank you very much, Tara.
Thank you guys.
Wait, zero engine.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Fred.
Bye, guys. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you at Monterey Swing Fest.
That's
January 14 through 19, 2026. Monterey, California.